Hi, I'm Sureya Leonara. I'm a sex and relationship coach, and today I'm super excited to talk with you about a little known secret that can massively uplevel your experience of pleasure as a man. So, we're going to talk about non-ejaculatory multiple orgasms and how in the world that's actually possible and why in the world you would want to have them. So this is one of my favorite topics to discuss because it's something that many of us don't know about in the West. And essentially, orgasm and ejaculation are two separate functions, so they can happen independently of each other. The reason most of us don't realize this is because it seems like they're happening at the exact same time, but there's actually a couple milliseconds in between them, and the functions can be separated. So why would we want to do this? There's a few reasons. First of all, when you ejaculate, you are releasing an enormous amount of life force, energy, and vitality through your sperm. So one ejaculation is enough to populate all of Los Angeles. That's really crazy if you take a moment to think about it. And this is why you can feel so depleted or exhausted after you come, because your organs are pouring forth their best effort in order to create new life, because that's what your body thinks you're trying to do, that you're trying to create a child, but obviously that's usually not your intention when you have sex or especially when you masturbate. But all your organs are pouring forth their best effort and you're releasing this enormous amount of energy. So we do actually have a clue into the fact that orgasms can be really exhausting for men in the Western world. A lot of athletes will be told not to come the night before a game because they know it's going to diminish their peak performance the next day. What they don't know is that you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have an orgasm without losing all this energy. The way this works is that when you have an ejaculatory orgasm, it's an explosive orgasm. You're shooting that energy out of your cock, out of your body, and depleting yourself of it. A non-ejaculatory orgasm is implosive. So you're reversing that flow of energy and bringing it throughout your body. So this makes it so that you can actually have an orgasm without ejaculating. So you're preserving your life force, but you're also revitalizing and nourishing your body with that energy. This takes the focalization of pleasure out of just being localized to the genitals and spreads it through the whole body so that it can be a full body orgasm. And it allows you to have multiple orgasms because you're not losing your wood between orgasms and you don't have that refractory period where you have to wait to get hard again. So ultimately what this looks like, if you were to picture a line graph, an ejaculatory orgasm is going to be this building, then this sharp peak and you fall down on the other side. And then it's going to take you a minute to get hard again and be able to go again, even if you even can. A non-ejaculatory orgasm is going to be a building, and then you're going to have a nice rolling plateau here. This is your orgasm, and it's going to last a lot longer than those couple of seconds. So it's not one of those things where it's gone as soon as it came. No pun intended. You get to have this nice rolling orgasm that moves through your body, but because you're not shooting that life force out, that pleasure is going to start to build again instead of falling off on the other side. It's going to keep building, which means it's compounding on the previous orgasm. So that pleasure is continuing to build, and then you can have another one. And you can have many of these in one session, whether that's with yourself or with another person. And then you are at choice as to when and if you ejaculate, which if you do, you will eventually fall back on that other side. You'll have that depletion again and that explosive release, which a lot of men are really chasing for that explosive release. It's really enjoyable. There's nothing wrong with it. It's an awesome form of pleasure to have. But if you want to be holding that vitality and not feel exhausted after, then you can actually just choose when you want sex to be over and you can circulate that energy through your body and you'll feel really revitalized and nourished and inspired afterwards. and you can actually then go take that energy and channel it into any sort of creative or physical activity. So the other reason why this is awesome is because obviously it really increases your capacity for pleasure and your ability to last as long as you want and be able to stay present with your lover. So rather than being stuck in your head about lasting long enough and trying to sacrifice your own pleasure in order to be able to last long enough, you really get to have your cake and eat it too, where you're having these orgasms, you're keeping your vitality, you're lasting as long as you want. And this orgasm is going to feel very different than the type that you're used to. It's going to flood your whole body with pleasure, and it'll be implosive rather than explosive. So it can have a more deep, kind of profound, full body feeling to it. A lot of men say it feels more spiritual and just really mind-blowing. It can last a lot longer, and you can have many of them. Ultimately, this isn't about giving up ejaculation or saying ejaculation is wrong or bad. Your ejaculation is awesome and beautiful, and I encourage you to be at full choice. It's more about ejaculatory choice as to when and if you have one. But this is really about expanding your horizons so that if you're not trying to create a child, or you don't want to be tired after, or you want to have more than a few seconds of explosive pleasure, then you can work with this type of orgasm. And it's ultimately just expanding your capacity for pleasure and your capacity for choice as to how your sexual energy flows. So this is a whole other level of learning to be in deep communication with your sexual energy. This is a really helpful practice for men to learn, because if you're young, you're setting yourself up for success long term. And if you're older, it's really important that you're really learning how to preserve this vitality. I have a lot of men come to me in their 40s and 50s and 60s who are all of a sudden having issues with their sexuality that they've never had before. And very often it's been because they've been spilling their seed over and over again throughout their lifetime, and they've really depleted their reserves of this vital sexual essence. So these practices can be extremely helpful for rebuilding that and making sure that your sex life doesn't putter out with age, but that you can actually have a deeply fulfilling, enriching sex life your entire life. And I've seen this to be true with many of my older teachers. So if this has piqued your curiosity and you want to learn how to master the art of non-ejaculatory orgasms, I have a whole course that teaches you how to do this in bite-sized pieces. It's called Multiorgasmic Vitality for Men, and you can click the link below to learn more about it. I look forward to seeing you there.